FA Cup quarterfinal replay scrapped from next season. This from May 26, 2016. FA Cup quarterfinal replays have been scrapped from next season. The Football Association said the decision was part of its ongoing review and would help to ease English football's congested fixture schedule. Semi-final replays were phased out after Man United beat Arsenal in 1999 on their way to the treble. Replays in earlier rounds remain, which means lower league clubs still have the opportunity to earn lucrative second matches against higher ranked clubs. FA Chief Executive Martin Glenn said the change adds excitement. He added, while fully respecting tradition and history, this new development will help the cup retain its status as a much loved and world renowned competition. Obviously, Man United beat West Ham in a replay in this season's quarterfinals before going on to lift the trophy in the final at Wembley last week. Pitch Talk at the FA Cup final 2016 is on youtube.com/Pitch Talk. Big ups to the Man United fans, to the Crystal Palace fans as well, who gave us interviews on Wembley Way. That is up at youtube.com/Pitch Talk in the Pitch Talk at the Cup finals playlist. Moving on, in regards to the FA Cup quarterfinal replays being scrapped from next season, Roy Hodgson foresees and believes that the scrapping of FA Cup quarterfinal replays could be the first step to a Premier League winter break. The Football Association approved the move to ease English football's congested fixture list, and Hodgson suggested the FA and the Premier League had been in discussions about the best way to achieve the objective. I think it's all designed eventually to maybe providing that elusive winter break, Hodgson said. There's been no doubt that one of the stumbling blocks has often been, hold on, you have all of these replays and you're asking us to cut our season down. I think it's only positive if this sort of move has been made. He added that a break would be aimed at freshening minds up. England coach Roy Hodgson has previously called for a winter break. The top divisions in France, Italy, Spain and Germany have winter breaks. So Roy Hodgson believes that the scrapping of the FA Cup quarter-final replays could be a first step to a Premier League winter break.
Starting off with the FA Cup, to be with the phasing out the quarterfinals replays. As I said before, when we spoke about the subject, maybe some of these proposals might be better in terms of fixing the issue with fixture congestion, as we've had for so many seasons. And anything helps. A less match here for all teams who are in competition, would help. Personally, I would have stretched it throughout the whole competition. I would have factored this all rounds. And I hear the argument of teams in the lower leagues, losing out revenue, maybe on the big matches replays that they might get against the top teams, the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, in those golden sort of matches for those clubs. However, if we are absolutely talking about fixture congestion and helping, the only logical sense is to remove as many unneeded matches as possible. Looking at it, there are some good ideas. As I said, with the FA Cup, it does make sense removing those extra matches. The replays, from my perspective, and maybe because I'm an Arsenal fan, and being that Arsenal don't have to be in the early rounds of the FA Cup, and then also when it does come to having a replay, if it is against a lesser team, maybe I'm not thinking about the revenue streams of the club, whereas a club in the lower leagues who that revenue stream does mean a lot to them, maybe because I'm not thinking on that sort of level, it's a bit ignorant, but at the end of the day, I'm just thinking about fixture congestion for all, revenue streams or not, it would help everyone, I believe. See, the winter break, I'm a traditionalist and I don't really want to see a winter break. That's where I'm coming from. I quite like watching football over the holiday period. That's the period of time, we got 1 to 2 weeks off, some of us, or at the end of the day, it's that period of time where we know there's going to be a dedicated period of football in its maybe it's a bit too heavily congested. You know, you got 2-3 games in this. That could be in this, 2-3, sometimes 5 games in the space of 10 days or something stupid, ridiculous like that. But that's what us fans love. That's the period of time where we know we're merry, we're cheerful, we're around family. Some of us are not around family. Some of us are around family that we don't want to be around, you know, and football is our breakout. You know, it's just that period of time where we just know football is going to be there for us, and it's going to be good football. It's going to, you know, there's got some of the prime time matches, the big games, the games that mean something at that particular time in season, whether it's an early relegation 6-pointer that they're already talking about, or whether it's like a team already dropping out of the championship race. You know, everything's happening there. So personally, I don't want to see a winter break. I don't even want to look into it. I just don't want to see a winter break. I just like that period of time where the football is thick and heavy, and you know, it's the most exciting time of the league, because that's when the crescendo is really starting to build up.
There's been a few interesting things said in the Skype chat, so we're gonna throw to that in a second. It is one of them ones where we've had a couple of very interesting things said in the Skype chat. Where are we gonna roll to? We're gonna roll to first. Let's go to Mike Harneman. Want to hear your views?
The FA Cup replays, I think that's a bit of a strange one as well. You know, I think take Sheffield United for example. A couple of seasons ago, I think they got to the quarterfinals, and you know they actually performed really, really well. And then if they, you can look at it from so many different angles, of course, but I'm looking at it from the likes of Sheffield United, the likes of Exeter, the likes of Bradford, you know, the teams that have done really, really well to be in that kind of quarterfinals or around there, you know, that kind of area of the competition in the first place. And obviously they're going to be missing out there. Obviously, right, the game might go to extra time, might go to penalties, and of course, you know, then they've got a chance and they might well win it. But it's a strange one. I think possibly a way around that could be to look at some kind of revenue. You know, say it was Exeter drawn away at Man United or Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea or City or whoever it might be, one of the big guns, obviously Spurs or whoever, Leicester City as well, then, you know, if they were to get the game into extra time or penalties and, you know, maybe narrowly lose out 2-3-1 or whatever by a couple of goals, or a goal or two, then I just think the fact that they would have taken it all the way through to extra time penalties, is there not any way that club could still get some kind of reward, even though they've, you know, because obviously they've gone all the way to that competition. Obviously, all right, it might be on TV, but they're not actually going to get as much as they would have done if they were taking it back to, you know, their home ground like Bramall Lane or wherever that might be, the Lamex Stadium, for example, Kenilworth Road for Luton, or, you know, wherever. And obviously it happened in, I think it was, I can't remember what year it was. It was a while back, but Farnborough were actually drawn to play at home to Arsenal. I don't know if Gav remembers this. And it was Graham Wesley was manager of Farnborough at the time, and I think it ended up 5-1 to Arsenal. Just put a picture into Gav's head if he can remember it, and obviously Jamie as well. But I was at that game, and it was basically billed as they were, you know, Farnborough were the home team in that, even though it was being played at Arsenal, and, you know, everyone from Farnborough was down there. Farnborough got a large part of the gate receipt as well, and, you know, it was basically built as a home game, and you know, they actually got something from it, even though they got beaten on the day. I'm not sure if that would make any sense to do anything like that. I don't know, really. It's quite a difficult one to call. But, yeah, I'm quite against it, to be fair. I think all these changes are, you know, it kind of going to just add confusion towards the rest of the season. And you know, the way it's all going to work out. And it's going to take excitement away from it, and it's going to take, you know, some of the love away from the game, for me especially anyway.
Quarter-final replays to be scrapped. Too many games. It's not worth it. Yes, players are getting paid that much, but as you can see, managers are not really playing more than they're not really changing their teams. If they know that their team worked in the first game, they're not going to change it for the second game. And if they've just played a game on a Saturday, or they've had to replay, they've had to schedule a game to play the replay, it's just not important. It's just not worth it. because I think Hull had a game on that weekend against us in March, and if I look at it, I think it actually cost them a place in cost them the third place. Even though Burnley, Reading, and Middlesbrough ran away with it, I think they would have been a bit more closer in terms of points.
It's just a question really to put out there for anyone, for the Skypers, for obviously you and Gavin, for Gezzie if he listens back and when he hears this back, and for anyone on the social media as well. Really, I just think that for the FA Cup replays, for one, the main impact is going to be towards that. Really, I think. Do you think the replays of that being scrapped would encourage more teams to play their full strength teams in the FA Cup? So, Arsenal, for example, got a quarter-final FA Cup tie against Leeds or whoever on, one day, but then they've got about 3 or 4 days, and then they've got a big game in the Premier League or the Champions League or something like that, and they won't be able to rest players. So I was just thinking on that kind of line, and obviously what impact would that have on academy players and youth players as well, who might not actually get a lot of game time, because obviously these competitions for them, that's their kind of way into the team sometimes.
That's a good shout actually. I mean, Gman, do you want to answer that question first?
Yeah, I was going to say, basically, I'm hoping that's not the issue. I'm hoping that teams are actually taking the FA Cup kind of serious as it is, because the way I see it with the bigger clubs like the Arsenal, the Man United, blah blah blah, Liverpool, etc. They put out teams that they feel that can beat whoever they're playing, and they put out the adequate players, knowing that they've got squads, the big enough squads to compete in those competitions. And we've seen it. We've seen it where there's been some shocking results, and last season Arsenal basically being capitulated by Sheffield Wednesday, where there was a poor performance. But then you also seen it where teams have put out, Man United have put out youth teams of such, or younger players, or needed the needs of rotation, and they've absolutely either obliterated a team, or they've won the game. So I just hope that it's not a mentality thing that's breeded, in which what happens is clubs then decide to say, is the FA Cup the cup that we want to win, at the end of the day? Because that's effectively what could happen, is losing that replay. Whereas where the replay in a certain extent, the mentality is, if we don't win tonight, we've got the replay, and then we go over there, put our full team, and we'll actually go out there and give our all. Whereas, teams could be just for that particular match, see it as, look, we've got a Champions League. Do we really care about the FA Cup? Really and truthfully, nah. Let's just put out a team, fill the team, save our players, and not go at this. I'm hoping it doesn't, but it potentially could be a mentality changer. Kieran, you've got a question as well, haven't you?
It's moving a little bit off topic this about the possibility of them having a winter break within the Premier League. But if they did that, because the amount of games they have in a season, don't you think that would kind of affect all the summer matches like the Euros and the World Cup? Because obviously you've got all the international players that a lot of them play for Premier League and Championship teams. Don't you think that will kind of affect the Championship and Premier League a little bit, or do you think that'd be an advantage for all the lower level teams to start moving up the table during the summer?
I think in theory they're looking at it as a potential advantage, but it's just all about how the scheduling's done. Because if the scheduling is actually botched, then you're gonna end up with a screwed situation and even more games anyway. So it's kind of a tough one to see where that one's going. It's kind of tough to see where that one would go, because it's an interesting one. I mean, some clubs start their Europa League campaigns in like July, if you're qualifying really early, if you dropped in the first round. So what, season finishing in late May, and you're starting again in early July. So that could kind of be. This is the thing with a restructure. See, this is one of them ones. With a restructure, it'd be a case of there would be so much more to consider than just one league. Because if one league restructures and everyone else doesn't, then potentially that league that's restructured could get left behind. Especially in the first 5-10 years of implementing that restructure and everyone getting used to it. That could be a bit troublesome as well. I mean, it's a great question, by the way. I mean, Mike Harneman has just said something interesting about come back off the winter break and then the transfer window in January is a mad rush. Teams might have targets in mind from October, November, but miss out due to another team returning back early to training if they're in a relegation fight. Now, there's an interesting one. I mean, the FA Cup quarterfinal replays getting scrapped from next season. I can understand that decision, because at the end of the day, fixture congestion has always been a problem over here anyway. A lot of people say that that's part of why our international side have actually done poorly. So, all right, cool. It's one of them was, FA Cup quarterfinals being scrapped from next season. I personally don't so much mind. Part of that bias is obviously because I support a Premier League team, so it's not going to affect us as much. But it is one of them ones where it's kind of an it is an interesting one. But I just due to pure fixture congestion for the Football League and also the Premier League, it's a case of I think that's probably for the best. The replays in the earlier rounds are remaining anyway, so at least there's that. They're not completely getting rid of the replays, which is a good thing. Helping the cup retain its status? No, I don't think the quarterfinal replays are going to help it retain its status. People taking the cup seriously will help it retain its status. Now, Roy Hodgson foreseeing a potential Premier League winter break, and basically believing the scrapping of the FA Cup quarterfinal replays could be the first step to it. Kind of with him on that. I can understand why he'd think that, because at the end of the day, it's one less fixture to deal with. But at the end of the day, it's only one less fixture. So, I mean, it being the first step to a Premier League winter break, maybe. But then you'll also still have international players in the Championship, where it'd be like, okay, as Kieran said, so it's kind of like, okay, you still wouldn't really be eliminating the problem that much. But there would be, I mean, in terms of a Premier League winter break, it would be one of them ones where you, at least the Championship, if there was a Premier League winter break, it would be one of them ones where it would give the Football League a chance to shine unopposed. So a Premier League winter break actually could be a good thing, because as we've said about men's and women's football before, it's like the men's game would have to move out of the way for women's football to really become as big as it can be potentially. But it's one of them ones. The scrapping of the FA Cup quarterfinal replays, if that facilitates a Premier League winter break, then yeah, it'd be a good thing. But logistically anyway, and also a given opportunity to the Football League. But as a fan, I love that Christmas New Year period. Love that period, because you get 3-4 games in the space of a week and a half. Love that. Because keeping up with that is pandemonium. It's tremendous. I like that. So as a fan, not really in favour of a Premier League winter break. If the scrapping of the quarterfinal replays ends up facilitating that.
I'm just going to jump in on the quarterfinal being scrapped. I agree that the quarterfinals should be scrapped because, the quarterfinal replay should be scrapped because obviously, look at West Ham versus Man U. That had to go to a replay. I mean, if that didn't go to a replay, I think West Ham could have easily nicked it. and gone on to the semis, and obviously then Man U wouldn't have won the FA Cup. But that's my view on that. My thought on the winter break, I think it could be affected to Premier League and Championship, but I mean, with Champions League games being moved to the weekend, I'd rather watch them on a midweek, because obviously if you play a team like on the Saturday, you'd rather have a game in midweek in a different competition instead of having a week's rest or whatever.
With the FA Cup replays being scrapped, I think it could be with for the winter break coming in. I think it would actually work quite well. But I think if he does do that, I think you'll have to have a look at the transfer window for January probably. And like I said, on a winter break, comes back in January first season again. Mad rush to sign players by the end of that month. And like, say, if you ever play land up in August, they may end up, well, it's in August, October, they may end up getting injured during the winter break, during the injuries. So I think it could work, but